Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today the Baltimore Ravens have signed two-time Pro Bowler running back Melvin Gordon to a one-year, $3.1 million contract to bring on the two-time Pro Bowler to the Baltimore Ravens, as Melvin Gordon has spent the last 3 seasons with the Denver Broncos, and before that, spent 2015 through 2019 in San Diego and Los Angeles. First 2 seasons of his career, which 2016, the last year in San Diego, with the Chargers was his first Pro Bowl year, and then the Chargers made the move from San Diego to LA in 2017, and he played in LA 2017, 2018, and 2019. And then there was some drama, I believe, the last season with the Chargers, and I think they traded him, but they might have waived him, and he signed with the Broncos. But he signed with the Broncos, played the last 3 seasons there. I remember he got a really large contract, and he was great for the Broncos in 2020 and 2021. But this season, yes, he didn't play as much as he had in the 2 previous years, but I don't think he was, what he was supposed to be. I mean, even when he was on the field, he wasn't doing as good as he was the year before. Let's go over his stats with the Broncos over the last 3 years, and I'll also go over his 2 Pro Bowl seasons with the Chargers. But before I do that, I do love this move for the Ravens because, I look at this signing and I look at the running talent that this Ravens team has. They have Lamar Jackson, who I know people like to make the jokes that he's a running back, but I mean, all jokes aside, he's a great quarterback. He's a great arm, but his running talent is amazing. All right, you got Lamar. That's one thing. You have 2 solid running backs, 2 really solid running backs, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. But the 2 things with those guys, it just feels like they can't stay on the field. That's the only thing I think that's the problem with their current running back situation. Both J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards have terrible injury problems. Gus Edwards, I think, played only like 8 or 9 games last year. J.K. Dobbins only played 8 games last year. J.K. Dobbins missed the whole 2021 season. Both guys have had injury problems in the past, and they're both really solid running backs, but they have injury problems, and then the Ravens were without a running back, and then you have to see the Ravens pick up a free agent. And there was a couple guys last year that they picked up that did solid for them, but, they clearly are hurt sometimes when they're without their 2 running backs in Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And to add in a 3rd running back like Melvin Gordon, I think will be a good fit for the Ravens. Let's go over his stats over the last couple seasons. So 2022 with the Denver Broncos this season, he played 10 games with 6 starts, 90 rushing attempts with 320 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 15 first downs, and his longest played in 10 games and 6 starts, and his longest carry was 17 yards. Now, that is disappointing. Only averaged 3.5 rushing yards per carry, and that went down a total of 1 yard that went down. It was 4.5 the year before in 2021. And then he only averaged 32 rushing yards per game. So, I mean, it was just not a good year for him. And then receiving stats, he had 32 targets, 25 receptions, 223 receiving yards. So those were his stats from this, past season. All right, 2021 with the Broncos, way better year. You saw a total difference, but at the same time, he played way more. 16 games, 16 starts, 203 rushing attempts, 918 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns, 48 first downs. Longest carry was 70, not 17, 70. So 70 was his longest carry, 4.5 rushing yards per carry, and averaged 58 rushing yards per game. Receiving stats, 38 targets, 28 receptions, 213 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. 2020 with the Broncos, even a better year, and played less too. 15 games, 10 starts. This is his first year in Denver, by the way. 986 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, 46 first downs. Longest was 65. Averaged 4.6 rushing yards per carry, averaged 65.7 rushing yards per game. Receiving stats, 44 targets, 32 receptions, 158 receiving yards, and he had 1 receiving touchdown. Then let's go over his best seasons with the Chargers, where he was a Pro Bowler. The 2018 season with the LA Chargers, he had 12 games, 12 game starts, 175 rushing attempts with 885 rushing yards, 10 total of 10 rushing touchdowns, which tied his career high, 47 first downs, 34 was his longest. That's another low for him. He averaged 5.1 yards per carry, which that is a career high for him as well. Averaged 74 rushing yards per game, and then his receiving stats that year was 66 targets, 50 receptions, 500 receiving yards, and 4 rushing touchdowns. So he had a total of 14 touchdowns that year with a total of about 1,400 yards. So great year in 2018. Then 2016, he had, and that's the last year in San Diego, 13 games, 11 starts, 254 rushing attempts, 997 rushing yards, 10 rushing touchdowns. Longest was 48, 62 first downs, 4 yards per carry, 77 yards per game. Receiving stats, 57 targets and 41 receptions for 420 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. And then the last year I'm going to go over is 2017. That's his only 1,000 rushing year of his career. 2017 is the only year of his career that he had 1,000 or more rushing yards in a season. 16 games and 16 starts in 2017. That's the first year in LA. 1,105 rushing yards with 8 rushing touchdowns, 61 first downs. Longest was 87, which that is a career high for him. That's his longest carry of his career. Averaged 4 yards per carry, 70 yards per game. He averaged a total of 55 targets, 42 receptions, and he had, sorry. I was looking at the wrong year. 83 targets, 58 receptions, 476 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns. So that was his only 1,000 rushing yard season, was in 2017. So, he has good veteran experience. He's been in the league since 2015 when, your other guys in Dobbins and Edwards are a little bit younger. I really do like this addition, especially if potentially Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins potentially to continue to struggle with injuries. And I love this move for the Ravens, bringing in Melvin Gordon. You guys know your thoughts on the addition for the Baltimore Ravens? That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out. Let me know your thoughts on the signing.